Nice word line. Wow, incredible. Wow. Wow. All right. I haven't done these in a while. I kind of fell off, to be honest. Uh, but yeah, it's pretty early in the morning. I've been up all night. And yeah, a lot of bouncing around mentally. And very odd, the concept of oneness and how that actually appears in the material world and tarot readers and all that. Um, it's pretty interesting how your belief system can basically make it true, whether it is or not. And subjective reality just flies up to another level. Little tomato juice. Oh, and spirituality is schizophrenia to some degree, and it's an interesting feeling. Like I had to just turn it off for a while when everything you watch is just constantly people doing tarot for everybody, and everybody's the collective, and it just becomes meaningless. And it's gonna get a lot worse. I mean, I have good readers, and I've narrowed it down to like I watched two or three, and generally in the first 10 minutes, I can kind of get a whiff if it's actually about me. And I don't want to say about me, but I can resonate with it. And it's a mind fuck. It's a long road. But the coolest part, man, every time I read a little bit more Rudolf Steiner, last night I was just audiobook for 6 hours staring at the ceiling. And not really, it was darkness. So staring at everything. And it's incredible how much that really resonates like a tarot reading, but he's actually speaking on universal experience. A lot of tarot readers will try to get into like personal readings or like, you know, uh, stuff that's just like it's not universal enough. I mean, it can be if you just gobble any information that comes your way. Man, this is killer right now. Um, and it's cool watching the world blossom around it. I mean, the videos a lot of the real teachers are still very esoteric, less than 10,000 subscribers to the channel. Old archive footage of like classes. Pierre Grimes and the Noetic Society, freaking excellent. That's just one I got off the top of the head. But that's where it really lies. Like if I don't mean to judge tarot readers or get in their business, I don't even really do it that well, or like understand the concepts that well. But what I see is like you can't like speak to people's egos, but you also can't be so universal that it's like, well, you could say that about anybody. But the real lessons, man, are in the boring lectures. They're not boring to me, but based on the number of views, people think so. And if there's hype behind it, it's probably not real. It's portrayed as like love, happy, rainbows, everything's great. When really it's like you don't want this if you have a good life. You don't want to self initiate and like dive too deep. If you're lucky, it just won't make any sense. There's a lot of stuff that I listen to that just still doesn't click because I can't resonate and I haven't experienced it. But like I said, Steiner is incredible. I was listening to what was it? Concerning the astral world and Devacon. And the last 2 hours, 6 to 8 hours, is oh my god. He gets into a little piece about Genesis and the evolution of human from Lemurian time, actually. Genesis kind of coincides with that, I think. I'm gonna have to find a way to structure these better. I feel like I'm being called to start teaching, but I can't tell if it's just freaking um, crossing wires and mixing up signals for other people. I'd rather teach when I have information, but I kind of like this idea of it's not really channeling, but it's off the cuff, which is basically channeling. And it will be an interesting path forward if more and more people grab onto it because the world is getting more and more obviously like evil. And that's usually the first step of awakening is people are like, oh, evil's real, God is real. Yeah. Yeah. And it is. Oh, and it sucks. You lose all your friends generally if you do initiation. You sound like a crazy person. You get the short end of the stick because you're expected to do better. Um, I don't want to say that actually. Well, it's been kind of rough. I think most people would agree. Um, but I think people are going to learn and find out anyway, just from curiosity, kind of like how I did. And might as well, like, let's all do it. You don't all have to be masters, but with the internet, you could very easily, like, oh, yeah, the homie knows Kabbalah. This guy can do ritual magic. Ding, 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 ding. And then get such an incredible worldview from that. I spend about 16 hours a day. It's very chill. Like I'm obviously doing other stuff, chores, and like working, got the headphones in at all times, and just freaking absorb. And the best way to do that is to gather as much information and bounce it around. And because at the ground level, underneath religion, it's all universal. The information, you don't have to be Jewish to experience Kabbalah. You don't have to be Muslim to experience Allah. In fact, that was the first God slash deity slash collective of people that helped me out in a non-physical sense. All of this is essentially non-physical. You can't go around being like, yo, I did this. I'm a king now. Like, check out what I got to say. It really doesn't work. That's why I'm hesitant to, it don't feel right. It don't feel right. Unless you're given like real lessons. But yeah, this is why I called this reflections. I'm talking to the screen, looking at myself, hearing what I'm saying from two levels. Excuse me. Pardon me. Um, but it's crazy. It's really at the point in the worldly zone that there's so much junk that it's like, what else are we gonna do? Keeping the low vibration freaking news and discourse or elevate it. And I don't know whether it's people are incapable or if it's like sectioned off for certain people or or what. I mean, the power of intention becomes massive. Massive. That's why I said this schizo part. It becomes like if you're a mind, you operate with your mind. I'm not big on like actions. I don't confront people. I don't get money or like, all that dumb shit. And yeah, it's a it's almost at the point I can't explain it. And maybe that's on purpose. It's also probably because I am running on zero sleep. And this must be hour 18 or 20, something like that. I don't know. And we're staying up all day, no naps. But progress. There's a lot of progress. And that's the other thing is like social media and stuff. The algorithm will refuse you this information. You can be subscribed, that you're not going to get notifications. You're not going to get pop up on your scroll as you're doom scrolling. You have to search. Even if you just type in a word and like boost your algorithm to search terms ratio, that's the way to go. And it's very hard to maintain because I'd like to relax and watch garbage podcasting quite often. And those two get very mixed up. The YouTube algorithm's like, I can't tell if this guy. Anyway. Oh, man. Oh, man. The topics list will become incredibly important. It's very hard to just do this from the hamster wheel. And yeah. I mean, follow the synchronicities. You think you should do that, but they're more to be experienced. And that's it. And then it's like it's nectar. Once you begin this, you've developed the need for nectar, spiritual nectar, like a hummingbird. And sucking on some flowers. um, and you know, I guess I used to be not even. I'm an enjoyer of sin to some degree, and boy, it becomes bad because you see how bad it is what you're watching or doing, or like how garbage it is. And it in our culture, everything was built around sin, and having to reverse from that is it ain't easy. So I stay home, and yeah, need more speaking. Speaking practice will be key. I got to just do these more. We're already at 16 minutes, which is crazy, but I've been kind of rambling and not staying focused on one topic and fleshing it out. Excuse me. Jesus. Oh, that tomato juice gets your heartburn going. Ah! Um, oh, but yeah, intention. It's the critical part of why it's so important to discuss things with people. Is you become a conduit for intention, and you don't even have to be a part of the scenario if you have enough spiritual. I don't want to call it clout, but ranking. Like the world will shift. People talk about like quantum jumping and shifting and phase lock torpedo movement. It's all fucking useless terminology. We really need more language to describe this stuff better, because it's not, spiritual sight. It's not with your eyes. That's like the hardest thing for me to accept is like vision doesn't really have anything to do with it. And yeah, we need better language. We need language improvement. We need to construct words and put them into use. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I guess that would just happen if I just started using the words. But this is just thoughts. I haven't actually started looking this stuff up today. This is like the first thing. First thing. And I hope I can provide some positive impact, but it's very hard to do as a shaman seer these days. I mean, it's very easy to just. It's not easy for me. A lot of people can just flow, but I have a much, I guess, as far as spiritualism is concerned, a much more materialistic underpinning. It's not all. It's not all subjective. There still are. The other thing is people are starting to oversimplify and turn it into like something you can say in a sentence. It's like, bro, people have been writing, 500 to 1,000 page books for centuries. One sentence ain't gonna do it. And I guess that's where discernment comes in. You kind of work it into the level you're at. And oh my god, this tomato is killing me. Tastes so good, but it hurts so bad. Oh, oh. And yeah, the main thing is there's a lot of lies all the time being thrown at you. All lies by omission, by like bending perception, misdirection. Oh, and it's so much of it. That's kind of what I'm worried about, is that it just becomes a wash with junk. Dead internet spirituality instead of dead internet theory. Oh boy. Oh, this heartburn's gonna cut me off early. It's already been 20 minutes, but go read Rudolf Steiner. Do it. And I guess mostly it's like becoming more human and like regaining morality. Like most people are good people, but they're not necessarily moral, and they're not necessarily they're not necessarily good. What's the saying? It's good for the goose is good for the gander, which I think it means like if it's just empty trash, more people are gonna come look at it. Squawking, you're just into your squawk box. And this is the really hard thing, is like the reason I stayed up all night is I've been dealing with this, like, I don't know if it's an entity attachment or just my cynicism, but I'm like constantly battling my own mind. And the it'll just stop eventually once like I go through the loop enough times, and I'm like finally just like, all right, self, enough badgering me. Oh God. I thought tomato juice is good for you. How could it hurt so bad if it's so good for you? Oh. Anyway, yeah, yeah. We're gonna go till the end of this track finishes. Um, go listen to rabbis. Go listen to sheikhs. Go listen to real pastors and preachers. There's like America is a wasteland for Christianity. It's almost a. I don't want to say that. I take that back. I something is wrong with Christianity here for me. It might just be like sectarian. Like it's all heresy out here, man. You got to go back to orthodoxy, man. But all of these people, if you watch the way that they are able to like digest what they've learned and reproduce something that's novel, that's how you know you're on like the God train. Is that you can the same thing can have so many interpretations that are wise that uh, it becomes like an infinite regression of more and more and more uh, knowledge and perspective. Not even knowledge, but you're constantly chiseling at the artifice, the sculpture. because like a lot of the old texts are it's out of our language bubble, and you can't really comprehend it anymore. At least I can't. Like if you're trying to read, I mean, the Bible is pretty good because it's like parables in a way, but the way that people are able to extract such um, profound insights from that, that's when you know you're onto something. You can just be a generic Jeffrey and just be saying, just say whatever the fuck, and a lot of people will listen to it and be like, "Wow, this is something," and it's really nothing. And that's where discernment comes in because it's a very fine line to the infinite regression with more and more wisdom to somebody just saying words, buzzwords, over and over and over. I don't know why it's so hard to light a lighter. Anyway, let me tell you, son, we're getting into the Zen mode now. It's almost like riding a bike. I just need to have more fluidity between each little blurb. I need to expand my attention span to like uh, at least a minute so I can be talking for a good 30 seconds and then still have enough attention to think of the next thing I'm going to say. But yeah, this is another one. This is okay. So there's meditation, contemplation. There's another C word. Contemplation. Yeah, this is a Osho talk. But uh, each one is a step to meditation. And this is where the esoteric work is done. And if you're contemplating garbage and filling your mind with garbage, you're not going to do it. And you have to start with the right foundation of, uh, so like generally when I'll be watching on YouTube here, you start with, or I'll just be watching a video and then I'll be thinking on top of the video and listening and thinking at the same time. And this is where you're able to participate in what's called contrapuntal, CONTRAPUNTAL, contrapuntal thinking, where you're thinking on multiple levels at the same time. And so basically you can have an idea while you're listening and still be listening and go through the idea at the same time. And that's where you're starting to reach uh, higher levels of meditation. So I guess that'd be from contemplation into actual meditation. Generally, people do meditation in silence. I don't. I mean, I do. But what I generally try to do is like, you should be meditating all the time. Like, you should always be in what Gurdjieff called self remembering. So, as you're speaking, you're analyzing, you're being, or you're aware, you're just watching, you're not even analyzing. And it becomes another type of loop. And you can develop bigger ideas from little blurbs people say, and then you'll get an idea and build on that and keep listening, and it's great. And that is like an incredible thing. Gosh dang it. I really don't understand how fires start. I can't keep a cigarette lit. I can't get a lighter lit. I can't get an engine running. I digress. Um, but yeah, the Great Awakening is understanding that, okay, so the world is the material world, if we're going to speak in Christian terms, and God's kingdom is not of this world. But we do have a conduit. We're conduits from that world to this world. But generally, we're disconnected. We're not even doing that. Most people. And the Great Awakening is realizing that, oh, I don't need to do anything of like, this kind of sounds crazy. You will be provided for if you're like in alignment. I mean, generally, you'll be provided for if you're a good person and you're not paying off karma. And you don't need to, you know, so earning money these days is you're basically earning money to pay other people for earning the money that you tax, you might as well just not work, live frugally, and you're going to live much better than somebody that has a ton of money but they have no time to do anything with their money. So it's like what's even the point of uh scrambling and um pimping yourself out? There's no point to it because you're going to be supported if you live the life you want to live anyways. I mean, you're not going to be freaking, you know, this maybe you got inheritance or your family might fly you places, but if you're like, all right, I'm going to Paris and I'm going to go to the Louvre and the restaurants and I'm going to do the money thing. No, that's not what this world is even about, but people get caught up in it. The point is that we are disconnected from the higher reality and we're here to remember the higher reality and integrate it into the world and spiritualize matter. And the spiritualization of matter is not paid. People don't see any value in it, but it's what this world functions on. This is all right. This is great. So one of the crazy things I was thinking about is like when you first hear about religion or Christianity, and you're like, this sounds fake. This sounds unreal. That it's just a story. Somebody made this up. But then when you really get into it, you realize that no, it's the other way around. The religious thinkers were grasping onto actual truth, and what we're doing is not that. I think there's a saying by one of the church fathers: if the world is real, then God is not, and if God is real, the world is not. Topological metaphor by Joseph Farrell. Huge, huge. Oh, I mean, how do you explain that to somebody who's like, no, man, I got freaking 2 kids. I got to go to work all the time and earn money to live. And I spend all my money. Like, so in my life, I've always been like a very giving person. So when I have it, I just like give it to the cause. Let's say my aunt needed to use my car a couple years ago. Well, it wasn't brand new, but it was like my car and I had the miles on it and she blew it up. I had bought it brand new, drove it for about 10 years. She drove it for 2 and blew it up. I no longer have a car. I don't get any money for it. Thank you very much. That seems like an epic fail. It is an epic fail. It burns me. It burns me ego. The material burns, but realistically, you start to realize, you're spending so much money on things for things that have no real value. You're paying money for the car, for the gas to get to work, to pay the taxes, and all of your time. And then you have a little segment of, 20 hours in a week, maybe, of free time versus I live frugally and I have all the time in the world to do anything. And in that, I don't need anything. That's pretty crazy. It doesn't make sense, but it does actually. On a higher level, it makes incredible sense because you're following the purpose. You can live from your ego what feels like purpose to earn something, but it's not the point of the system, the greater system you're in. And like when that occurs, most people don't even realize they're doing it. I mean, because they have no uh, perspective. They haven't done the initiation learning. This is the strange part for me. I grew up with no religion, none, none, not even nothing spiritual. Like this is a freaking hellscape where people go insane and toil for um I mean, it's even hard to explain. It literally, to me, seems for nothing. Somebody who's actually in it can explain it very well, and they'd be like, "Yeah, this makes sense." But they're on a lower level, and they can't see that uh, true essence. And this is why the Great Awakening is so important. Because once you, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Once you detach, this is the thing about detachment. People think it's like you give up the things in the world, but no, they just become lower priorities where they belong instead of like making that your God. But I suppose that's kind of the trick. Any Hoosiers, that was a pretty good little bit. That was in the past 10 minutes. If I could have extended that to the whole thing, golden, golden. I think I'm gonna leave it there. It's about 40 minutes. That'll give me a chance to reflect and everything, and I'm gonna do another one later, and no one will listen. No, somebody might listen. It's building.